Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What If LSU and Notre Dame Vanished in 2007? The SEC Collapse Nobody Saw Coming. What if I told you that the SEC dynasty you think you remember never actually happened? What if in 2007, right before the most chaotic season in modern college football history, LSU disappeared? Notre Dame disappeared, as did Arkansas and Missouri. No national championship LSU. No SEC stabilizer. No Arkansas McFadden machine. No Missouri Heisman run. Instead, their coaches and stars were redistributed to losing programs, and by December, the SEC misses the BCS title game entirely. Ole Miss is a 10-win team. Alabama rises early and then collapses, and Oklahoma takes control of the sport. This is an alternate history college football universe, and it might completely rewrite how the 2010s unfolded. First, let's set the table for the disappearance. We begin in the 2007 preseason. The following teams are dissolved: LSU, Notre Dame, Arkansas, and Missouri. And instead of just deleting their players, we redistribute them, only to non-blue blood and or teams with losing records in 2006, which means struggling programs suddenly receive elite level talent and coaching. Les Miles lands at Alabama. Darren McFadden gets reassigned, as does Chase Daniel and Jimmy Clausen. And this is where the butterfly effect begins. And that sets the table for the redistribution. Let's talk about power changes. Like we mentioned, Les Miles takes over at Alabama. Glenn Dorsey and Matt Flynn also end up at Alabama and immediately become a top-tier SEC team 2 years earlier than in real history. Meanwhile, Chase Daniel and Jeremy Maclin land at Ole Miss. An Ole Miss that struggled the year before. Now they suddenly have a Heisman level quarterback. And you might be thinking to yourself that Ole Miss jumping to 10 wins feels aggressive. But remember, 2007 was the chaos year. Top teams were falling weekly. The margin between mediocrity and 10-2 is thinner than what we remember. Over in the Big 12, Oklahoma benefits indirectly. Over in the Big 10, Ohio State stabilizes. And suddenly the SEC doesn't have LSU to anchor perception. And that sets the table to the 2007 regular season chaos. September, Alabama looks dominant. October, Ole Miss upsets Florida. Midseason rankings have Alabama in the top 5, Georgia top 10, Ole Miss top 12, and Florida top 15. The SEC can't stop outdoing itself. Without LSU, the division balance collapses. Alabama and Ole Miss finish on top. Georgia surges late. And in the SEC championship game, Georgia defeats Alabama. And you might be thinking to yourself that the SEC would still sneak a team into the BCS title game. But in this alternate history, because Oklahoma goes 12-1 and Ohio State goes 12-1, and the SEC now has a 2-loss champion in Georgia and 2-loss Alabama, the SEC is shut out. And that sets the table for the title game that changes a decade. In this alternate universe, the title game is Oklahoma versus Ohio State, and Oklahoma wins. The Big 12 takes control of the sport. And you might be thinking to yourself that one title game doesn't change an era, but perception drives recruiting. Perception drives media narratives. Perception drives conference power. Without LSU winning in 2007, the SEC doesn't build the same inevitable aura. Alabama doesn't get the same early momentum. Ole Miss now has proof of concept with Chase Daniel. The Big 12 claims legitimacy. The Big 10 regains credibility. And playoff expansion conversations start earlier. And in this alternate history, it reshapes the 2010s before they even start. And that sets the table for the long-term ripple effects. And here's where it gets scary. Alabama still becomes strong, but without the immediate dynasty aura. Ole Miss recruiting spikes in the 2008 to 2011 window. SEC media dominance narratives delayed. Big 12 TV leverage increases. And you might be thinking to yourself that the SEC would inevitably rebound anyways. Maybe. But dynasties are not guaranteed. They require momentum. Remove LSU's 2007 title and insert SEC teams beating up on each other, and the timeline fractures. And what makes this universe so interesting isn't just our power, it's structural instability. With LSU, Notre Dame, Arkansas, and Missouri gone, Chase Daniel turns Ole Miss into a disruptor. Alabama rises, then stumbles at the worst possible time, and Oklahoma seizes the crown. It's the SEC collapse nobody saw coming. And if you enjoyed this alternate history breakdown, hit like so more Chaos fans find this video. Comment below, does the SEC recover or does the Big 12 run the 2010s? And subscribe if you want more alternate college football universes, because we're just getting started. And I'll see you in the next timeline.